Hi, if you can't already tell by the channel, my name's Ellie, and I thought it would be fun to react to the first two episodes of Destination X, the new BBC reality TV show. But before I do that, please like and subscribe somewhere down here. It really helps, and also my Instagram and my TikTok should be linked in the description. I'm having trouble linking my TikTok to my Instagram, so if anyone knows how to sort that, please comment down below. I've tried the whole clearing the cache thing, the restarting the app thing, and nothing has worked. So if you know another way to do it, please let me know. Okay, so initially, thoughts on episode 1. Rob Brydon, absolutely excellent. He works very, very well as a host. He's not like Claudia Winkleman, but in a way he's sort of got his own niche. Like, you know how Claudia's got her, whole like fringe dark thing. Rob Brydon has sort of been able to create his own niche, if you get what I mean. And it really works. He really works as a host for this sort of genre of show. There were a lot of elements that reminded me a lot of other reality TV shows. So obviously, like the traveling element, with like Race Across the World, and the discussions over like, where it was, and in episode 2, who pushed the button, which we'll get onto later. It was very reminiscent of like the Traitors and the map room where they like lock in their answers at the end of each episode, and like Rob appearing on the screen really reminded me of Big Brother, sort of like a Big Brother is watching you, because like even though they can't see what's going on, Rob can, so that's very Big Brother-y-ish, if you get what I mean. I also love that we have to play along and have to figure out where they are as well, because I think it adds an extra element to the show. Like, I also think it would be really cool if there like was a way at all for the traitors to do it in a way where we didn't know the traitor. I think that would be really cool, and they've sort of done that with Destination X. And honestly, the clues can be so misleading. Like, there are so many red herrings. Like, in the first episode, if you remember, in the airport, they zoomed in on a merch t-shirt of Celine Dion. And obviously, being a bit of a Eurovision nerd, I was like, oh my god, she won Eurovision in 1988. That must mean they're going to Switzerland. And I was convinced that they were in Switzerland until like the end of the box challenge, where none of the answers were like Swiss. Then I was sort of pulled between Vienna or somewhere in France, but we'll get on to how episode 1 sort of unfolded in a minute. I loved the bit in the airport where they were like scrambling for the souvenirs, because it was just very fun. Claire is an icon. We love Claire being like, oh, I think I'm really smart, I think I'm going to do really well, and then literally her being one of the 3 that went home straight away. That was brilliant. Love Saskia. She's probably one of my favourites. Yeah, she's an absolute icon. The thing with the twins on the train, I didn't even recognise that until Rob said that. And that was a really good twist. That was a really, really good twist. I can't remember if there was a reason why they had it, but it just, made you really, really alert. And I think the good thing with Destination X is, like, if you want to be good at it, you have to be really, really, really alert to like catch every single thing. I was really sad when Maddie quit at the end of the first day after the challenge. He was one of the ones that was like really growing on me, so that was really sad. And onto that, I think we should talk about the box challenge. Another element of the box challenge, as well as trying to figure out what the right answer was to figure out which clues were right and which clues were wrong, which is, I think, where I really struggled as someone watching along. But yeah, that made it really entertaining because the clues weren't, even though the clues were maybe a little bit more easier to decipher, you also had the element of figuring out what ones are red herrings, which in a way made it not as easy. Because remember, at this point, I was still convinced that it was Switzerland that they were going to until the end of that, and there were no clues correlating to Switzerland. And when Debbie and Nick got the clue and they started speaking German, I was like, maybe they're in Switzerland. They were in Alsace-Lorraine. That was so mean, because obviously they're in France, but that was Alsace-Lorraine, if you don't know the history behind it, was given to France after World War I. So it used to be German, so obviously they speak German there, which was really, really misleading and really, really well done. And I didn't catch... obviously I knew it was a German Shepherd in the box, but I didn't make the Alsatian connection that I probably should have. I just didn't make that connection. And with the Eiffel Tower thing, I love Dawn. Dawn was so smart in this whole episode. Dawn was so smart in this whole episode. Because she caught on to the Eiffel Tower thing, with the whole eyes falling. And to be honest, I recognized it, but I was convinced it was a red herring because when you initially went into the box, there were so many, clues for so many different places that it could have been. And yeah, I also think it was really, really, really ironic that Debbie was the one with all the clues. And remember, she got the clue that she gave to Nick, and Nick refused the clue. That was a dumb move on Nick's point. I think that's really the only dumb thing he's done so far. I actually think he's quite smart, and he was the only one who figured out something in episode 2 that I will talk about when we get on to episode 2. Yeah, and I think it was ironic that Debbie was the one with all the clues and she was the one that was the furthest away. I felt really bad for her because, I felt really bad for her. But yeah, that is everything I could think about off the top of my head about episode 1. Episode 2. First of all, when they got to the lake where they were doing all the clues, and the goggles, and they had to decide whether to push the button or not. Even before they started that challenge, Rob's one-liners were so good. But I'd love to teach the world to sing. Oh, that had me cackling. I love how everyone was like, no one push. And then, I can't remember who it was. It might have been James. I can't remember, so correct me if I'm wrong. And they were like, yeah, I'm already thinking about pushing the button. Now, this episode is really good for me because I figured out where they were. I figured out Destination X within the first 10 minutes. And you want to know how I figured it out? I think it was the second clue at the lake when they had all the boats coming in. And if you remember, the sail on it said Throne Mart, and I was like, that's weird. It must be an anagram of something. And then And then I was like, the Toblerone mountain is called the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn is in Switzerland, because like I'd already sort of figured out that they were in Switzerland. So I was like, oh my goodness, it's the Matterhorn. That's Destination X. Destination X is the Matterhorn. And yeah, so I was really... Episode 2 took me less time to work out where they were. And maybe not because the clues were any easier, but because maybe I sort of learnt from my mistakes in watching episode 1. So yeah, that clue was really, really clever. Dawn, again, was really smart in realising that they were in Switzerland. She was like, oh, I've got family friends in Switzerland, and they send me some, like, family photos, and that looks like the Swiss national dress that, you know, they wear. But, yeah, we'll talk about Dawn when we get onto the map room for this episode. I was really surprised that Saskia confessed to pushing the button, but it doesn't seem to have affected her much so far in terms of making friends in the game. That's also something that is very, very like reminiscent of the traitors. Like, I think that they will like start forming those alliances that you tend to see form in the traitors. Like, if you remember, like in series 1 of the traitors, there was Amanda, and she was like friends with everyone, and until basically Will ratted her out, like I was sure she was gonna win. And like I remember Faye saying like, oh, to Amanda, like, oh, you're 100% faithful. And that was the thing of making connections and becoming friends with people, because I think friendships can really deceive. Well, not deceive, but you have rose-tinted glasses on with that person, and you're like, you immediately rule them out of something like being a traitor or pushing the button to darken the X goggles. And I think that might be something that Saskia's done really well. She comes across really well on camera. I think she will have come across really well in the game to her fellow contestants. And the fact that she was like, oh, I like accidentally pushed it, I think pretty much everybody apart from Judith bought that. And to be honest, even I can't genuinely tell if she accidentally pushed it, or when she was like, oh, I accidentally pushed my button in the talking head, if she was being sarcastic or not. Like, I genuinely couldn't tell either. So props to Saskia. James' deflection off of him pushing the button, because of course Saskia pushed the first one and James pushed the second one. Again, that was really well done. I think if he was on the traitors, he would make a really good... He might be an okay traitor, but I think people are starting to catch on to, you know, him really playing the game. I think Nick might be heading in that direction as well. But we'll talk about that later. I loved the twist of them getting all the clues in the cable car when they went up to the mountain. And I could not abseil up. I could not abseil down. It's not that I'm scared of heights, it's just I don't like abseiling at all. I just can't abseil. But yeah, Team A were really, really good in that, which was like Saskia, Nick, like their team. Saskia and Nick did really well in that challenge. I think Saskia and Nick are going to go really, really far in Destination X. And then the bit where they obviously went up and chose what clue to take, they definitely picked obviously the right clue. And the letters on the thing, I think it was TERRES, H. Yeah, that's what it was. I was trying to remember how to spell Matterhorn. But yeah, that confirmed to me that I had been right the whole episode, and Destination X was going to be the Matterhorn. They definitely chose the right clue, but and Team A also did really well in the deception of the other team, because they were like, oh, the clue wasn't really useful. And to be honest, they were telling it part true, because none of them had figured it out, apart from Nick. Because if you remember, Nick was like, his map room segment was shown last, and he was like, oh yeah, I figured out it was the Matterhorn and didn't tell anybody. And then also after the map room, after Dawn had been really sadly eliminated, I think Dawn was really unlucky. She just got the wrong side of Lake Geneva, and then that was her. And I think it shows how like fast a game like Destination X can change, because she was literally the only one who got Destination X right in episode 1, and now she's out. Like, what is happening with that? But I think that shows you how fast a game like that can change. And then Nick sort of being like, yeah, I'm playing the game a little bit, to everyone. Actually, I said that Nick had only done one dumb thing. This is maybe the second dumb thing, because that is probably going to lose him a lot of friends, and he's not going to be able to make those connections that maybe Saskia has. And I think she started playing the game but hasn't overtly said like, oh, I'm going to begin playing the game at this point in the game. But yeah, kudos to Nick for actually figuring out Matterhorn. Yeah, I'm really excited for the next 2 episodes. Yeah. So that was my reaction to it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching.